If you do not do what I'm about to teach you tonight, your savings rate doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're saving 90% or 10% or 50% of your earnings. Now, after this video, there are 3 things that you're going to walk out of this time with. Number 1, you will be able to turn your everyday spending into wealth building weapons. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine, just rewiring your brain to such an extent that you are making your spending and becoming wealthier? Because what we've been told and what we know is, as you're spending the money. The money is going. But what if you flip it and you actually spend money to make more money? That is amazing. And these are not the things that we are taught in school, but that is the secret of the 1%. The second thing you'll be able to walk out of tonight with is you will be able to identify the financial bombs, okay, that are draining your money silently. Silently. King Solomon talked about the little foxes that spoil the vine. The things destroying many of us financially are very little foxes. Tonight, you'll be able to identify those financial bombs that are exploding your finances. And then the third thing you're going to walk out of this session with is you'll be able to deploy a 3-step program, a 3-step system that the 1% use to spend their way into freedom. Now, so to begin to get into the flow of the mindset for tonight, I want you to type in the comment section, spend your way to freedom. You see, before, what we know is that as we are spending the money, it is going. We're eating, we're drinking, we're partying, and then the money is going. But I'm going to introduce you to a paradigm that is very different. You spend and grow rich. I think I like that. Type it in the comment section. Type spend and grow rich. That's actually a very good title for what we are doing tonight. Spend and grow rich. But we're actually looking at the title that your savings rate is meaningless unless you weaponize your spending. So everybody type in the comment section, spend and grow rich. Isn't it amazing? If we can spend, every time we spend money, we are earning money. Okay, so let me talk about the lie that all of us have been sold. You see, because they removed personal finance from the school curriculum, because the plan is to mass produce workers. And I understand that Rockefeller had a lot to do with the present school system. And so the most that we've been told is when you come out, get a job, and then start saving money for the rest of your life. But that is the biggest lie that we've ever been told. They say just save more. Save more. Okay? But saving money without strategy is like collecting water in a sieve. Can somebody quickly type these things? Like I usually want this engagement. I want to know that you are following. And then, yes, Adeola, thank you. So I can see spend and grow rich. So type it, all these things in the comment section. As you hear me drop this wisdom bomb, I need you to type it in the comment section so that we can engage. And if you're new to my channel and you haven't subscribed, this is a great moment to please subscribe and then hit the notification bell so that every time I'm live for these practical coaching sessions, you will get notified. Okay? All right. So, saving money without strategy is like gathering water in a sieve, because no matter how much you gather, you'll always be thirsty. But here's the truth. If you save $1,000 a month, but spend $800 on things that give you zero returns, you are running in quicksand. Can you see how stupid that is? Because that's what many of us do. That's what many of us do. I did it. I did it. So, but just imagine the stupidity of the whole thing. Save more. All right, so you're saving. You're saving $1,000 in a month and then spending $800 or $900 or even the $1,000 on things that do not bring any returns. Then it is like running on quicksand or trying to dig yourself out of mud. Okay, so the average person, that's what the average person does. You know, the average person will save like 1,000 in your own currency and they will spend $800 on liabilities, you know, cars, impulse buys. Then people in Africa do these ashwebi and all kinds of things. All right, so, and then at the end of it, we are in the same very spot. In fact, sometimes worse than where we began. So the average person saves $1,000 and spends $800 on liabilities. But the weaponized spender, that is who I want you to become tonight. The weaponized spender will save that $1,000 and spend the same $800 on assets. Assets will include tools. I'm going to share examples of all those tools. Assets will include education, like the Financial Fitness Challenge that we run. Assets will include systems that will now put money in your pocket. So I want you to go from the average person to the weaponized spender. Please type weaponized spender in the comment section. Everyone. All right, Janat, I see you are joining from Bangladesh. You're welcome. Okay, so type weaponized spender in the comment section. Okay. Very good, very good. Weaponized spender, weaponized spender. That's what I want you to become. All right. That's the mindset I want you to adopt after this to become weaponized spender. These times you have been spending for liabilities, but this time after this session, you will be a weaponized spender. You will spend the same money. You will get the same joy. You will get the same, dopamine. In fact, you will get even more dopamine as a weaponized spender than the same spender. Okay, so you see the difference. One path keeps you stuck. That is the path of the average person who earns $1,000 and spends $800 on liabilities versus the weaponized spender who saves the same $1,000, but instead of spending the $800 on liabilities, the person spends it on assets that put money into his pocket. So that's how to make the shift. Because many times growing wealthy isn't about the amount of money, isn't about how much you earn. It's the wisdom that you use to manage what you earn. Because when you look at it, many times, let's say people in your generation, people in your class, people in your age group, if you actually sit down and look at it, you probably earn the same amount of money. You probably earn the same amount of money. There will be some outliers, there will be some outliers, like Elon Musk is definitely an outlier to people his generation and his mates and things like that. But in many respects, even the way Elon Musk spends money is exactly the same thing that we're talking about. So did he become this kind of billionaire today because he was a weaponized spender, or he was spending money like the average person? The guy was a weaponized spender. Imagine, I forget the particular figures, but he sold PayPal, which was one of his first major businesses. I beg your pardon, is it PayPal? Please correct me. Is it PayPal? Yeah, something like that, okay? Okay, just correct me if you know that story. That Elon Musk business, he was in a payment, he did a payment business with somebody, payment software. And then when he sold it, he made a certain amount of money when he sold one of his businesses. And then he put literally the whole thing into starting another business. Thank you very much. PayPal, yes. Thank you, the Umas family. Yes, exactly. And then he put in literally everything into the next business. And today, he is very, very wealthy. All right. So let me now introduce you to the 3-step weaponization system, because I usually want to create systems. And in the Financial Fitness Challenge, my mentorship group, I emphasize systems. Create systems. Don't even build business. Build systems. Because the systems can run without you. That's the good thing about system. It can run without you. The other thing is that systems run automatically. And then systems are predictable. When you give the right input to systems, you will always get a predictable outcome. So, the first step is to audit your spending like a general. You see, we're talking about weaponizing your spending. Yeah, so there's some kind of military metaphorization involved in what we are discussing. So, to weaponize your spending, the first thing is to audit your spending. How many of us, so audit your spending like a general, not an accountant. How many of us look at our bank statements every month? I'm guilty. The bank sends it to me every month, but I don't make it a habit. And that is something I need to make a habit, to look at my bank statements every month. Because many times I look at the bank statements, there are always insights that can help improve my finances. Like I discovered, I looked at my bank statement 2 months ago, and I saw some strange spendings. Somebody was billing, something was billing me, and I had no idea where it was coming from. The same thing happened to my account last year, my bank account in the United States. So I got a debit alert for a subscription to a software that I knew I did not actively subscribe to. And then when I checked the merchant, when I now went online, because it wasn't very clear who the merchant was. And then it was giving me an address, something in Hong Kong. Okay, so we now followed the trail, only for me to discover that 1 year before that time, these people had also billed me. So this was a total of $100 and something. They were billing $50 something for something, a software I wasn't using. I can't remember ever subscribing to. Now, if I didn't look at my bank statement, I would not have caught that. So I had to write my bank. I called my bank in the US and said, I don't know who this merchant is, and I don't whatever. So story cut short, they were able to recover my money. Which is really very good. So audit your spending like a general. All right. Now, I want you to take note of what I'm about to say, because what you tolerate in your spending, you authorize in your net worth. I thought by now I should be seeing like fire emoji, like bomb and all that. Let me say it again, maybe slowly, so that you can catch it and so that you can also write it down. So what you tolerate in your spending, you authorize in your net worth. What you tolerate in your spending, you authorize in your net worth. So most people track expenses, but winners categorize them by return on investment. So it's not just enough tracking expenses. Okay, I spent this on rent. I spent this on charity. I spent this on food. I spent this on energy. You're just tracking expenses. But wealthy people don't track expenses. They track return on investment. So pull up your last 3 bank statements and then label every bank statement. Now, so I said you should audit your expenses as a general, not as an accountant. So as a general, look into your bank statements and then label every purchase. And you can actually use your Excel spreadsheet to do this. So label every spreadsheet, every item, give it one of 3 labels. So there are 3 labels I'm going to give you. So number 1, ammunition. So look at all the lines in your bank statement and then give all of them, each of them, one label, one of 3 labels. What are the 3 labels? Label number 1, ammunition. What is ammunition? Ammunition is the investment that grows. So these investments can be courses. Maybe you've spent some money on courses. Maybe you spent some money enrolling in the Financial Fitness Challenge. Maybe you spent some money joining a particular mastermind. That is ammunition. All right. So ammunition is anything that's there. Maybe tools you invested in. So I have a tool that helps do my transcription. I used to pay a lot of money in those days to find somebody to transcribe my YouTube videos. So, and it was not only expensive, but it took weeks. So now I have an AI that does it and I subscribe and pay monthly. So that is ammunition. That's an ammunition. So courses, tools, assets, those are ammunitions. All right, so now, again, as you look through the lines of your bank statement, you label some as landmine. What is a landmine in your bank statement? A landmine is an expense that explodes later. So it could be cheap gear. It could be subscriptions that you don't need. Subscriptions can be anything. I don't want to mention Netflix because it's very emotional for lots of people. So what are the landmines? Expenses that explode on you later. They do not return any assets, but they escalate your financial struggle. So label that as landmine. Then look again in the bank statements and then find there's another label called neutral. So your neutral label will include basics like rent. It's neither bad nor good. You know, things that you need to keep yourself biologically alive. Okay, so those are neutral: rent, food, maybe energy or something like that. So what is your goal in doing this audit? You want to shift at least 20% from landmines to ammunition this month. So that's something you can do. It's doable. It's a strategy. It's easy. It's simple to do. So most of your expenses in the landmine category, you move them to ammunition. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. Okay, so that is step 1. Audit your spending like a general. And I've told you and I've shown you exactly how to do that. Step number 2, the 10x spending rule. Poor people ask, can I afford it? But the wealthy people ask, how can this purchase afford me freedom? How can this purchase afford me freedom? So before any purchase that is over $100, I'm using dollars because this is an international community. Before any purchase over $100, ask yourself, can this generate 10x of what I paid for it? This thing has helped me a lot. You know, I tell you that I'm not rich. I'm being very transparent, but I'm wise. But you see the good part, the cool part? Wisdom enables me to live exactly like the wealthy. So when you see me, you will never know. There's nothing suggesting that I'm not rich, but I'm not. But wisdom makes me very, very rich because of the way I live. So let me explain what I just said. Before I buy any gadget, even if it is phone, I must first of all see the return, how that phone will return. First of all, return how much I bought it. That's why I'm still stuck on very old models of iPhone. I used iPhone 6 for years, for a long time, until people were literally begging me to to change it, you know. Then before I bought the next one, which was iPhone 10XS, that's by that time people had already moved on to iPhone 13 or 14 or whatever, you know. I had to sit down to ask, okay, how is this money? First of all, how am I going to recover this money? And if I do not see the clear line, I won't buy it. So I saw, for instance, for the iPhone, I've reluctantly upgraded to iPhone 11 today, and then I bought it, and it wasn't brand new. It wasn't brand new. I bought it for $400 in the United States, used. I think it was from Facebook. Somebody bought it from Facebook Marketplace. The screen needed something or whatever, and I paid him $400 for that, as against people buying it, I think, over $1,000 or something. Before I even paid the $400, I saw, okay, this actually takes better pictures, higher quality videos, and all that. And then, since I literally produce content every single day, I can make better videos. I saw that it also had better editing tools for my videos. That was why I bought it. Otherwise, I will still be using, what do you call that phone? The phone, that you press, that doesn't, is this screen, those old Nokia 3310. Yeah, that's how crazy, that's how I am, when it comes to my money. I must see the return, how that thing is going to bring itself back and pay for it. This Mac was the same thing. So before I invested a lot of money on this Mac, it's got 1 terabyte, again, because of my videos and things like that. 1 terabyte, 16 gig RAM, and a couple of other things. I paid over $3,500 for it. But I'm happy to announce to you that this Mac has returned itself more than 20 times. So when I'm using it, I'm happy. Recently, I also bought Starlink, because Starlink is quite expensive in this part of the world. I don't know, you guys in Bangladesh and things like that, buying so that was a lot. And then at the time that I subscribed to Starlink, they didn't have residential plan, and I don't think they still have it in Nigeria. So I had to go for the business, which was 159,000 naira. That's a lot of money in Nigeria, 159,000 naira every single month. So before I made that expense, of course, there was a context to it. All the networks, for some of you in Nigeria, the networks were horrible late last year. The data was incredible, so terribly bad. So sometimes when I'm holding my evening sessions, my live sessions like this, the internet will cut 5 times, 8 times. So it was frustrating. And at the same time, Starlink was quite pricey, 159,000. So I had to sit down to ask, how is this thing going to pay for itself? First of all, every single month. When that became clear in my mind, I now did that for Starlink. So before any purchase over $100, always ask, can this thing I'm about to purchase generate 10 times its cost? All right. So you might have $200 to buy shoes. What is the return on those shoes? I know you like it. I know it's great. I know people will say that's cool. I know you will appear rich and appear whatever. But the return is zero in terms of naira, in dollar. The return is zero. But if you weaponize that same $200 and buy a sales course, you can get $2,000 in new clients. That's what happened to me when I went to, when I finally did my executive coaching certification. I did it in Sarasota, in Florida. That was a lot of money. I paid $10,000 for that certification program. And not only that, I had to fly myself to that place. I had to fly myself to Sarasota for a couple of days that the whole event lasted, and fly myself back, pay for hotels, pay for car rentals and things like that. It was a lot of investment, But then why did I do it? I discovered that many people many big organizations wanted to hire me for their executive coaching. But every single time, each one of them would ask, are you certified? So even though I was doing extremely good job, on one occasion, in fact, the most painful one was a call I got from Europe. Somebody was managing some businesses in West Africa, a multinational in West Africa, and they needed an executive coach. So they had read some of my work, watched some of my videos, read my content online, and they felt this is the guy. They called me. I believe it was from Spain. And then everything was perfect. And we were to cut the contract. And the question was, are you certified, by the way? I said, no, I'm not. And they said, well, Ogbo, we know that we see your work, you're very, very good in this. And then we've heard testimonials of people and companies, organizations that you worked with. But somehow the client requires formally or officially that the executive coach be certified. So when I couldn't bear it any longer, I now registered, enrolled in the Center for Executive Coaching in Sarasota, Florida. I had to fly there. So, ladies and gentlemen, I went to that program and came back something like second week in December. I don't remember exactly. It was a long time ago. So I came back like second week in December. And by the next month, I landed a coaching deal with a multinational organization that paid for my trip to Sarasota. So do you see how you weaponize your spending? I invested $10,000 or more like $20,000 into a course. So courses are asset. Masterminds are asset. I have done the same thing before. Some of you may know Dean Jackson, who was called the Buddha of marketing. And you can search him online. So the guy is not very visible online, but he's extremely good. In fact, he was the guy who invented the squeeze page for when internet started. He was the guy who invented it. So Dean Jackson ran a mastermind again in Florida. And I paid for that mastermind. At that time, he charged $5,000. I went. During the mastermind in that hotel we were using, Dean Jackson did not use any PowerPoint. There was no PowerPoint presentation. There was no whatever. We just sat and then we were talking. So we had guys who flew in from Europe. We had some who flew in from Canada. And of course, majority of the people there, just in that round table, were from the United States. And he was just talking. By the time I came back, I had loaded up so much strategies that I landed clients that paid more than 10 times what I paid Dean Jackson. So this is how to weaponize your spending. But you see, some other person spent that $10,000 buying a car. But I spent it on my executive coaching certification and made it back like within 3 months. Made it back a lot more. That's how you weaponize spending. You're spending the same amount of money, but one, you spend it and it goes, no return. This other one, you spend it and then it comes back with return. Is this making sense to anybody? Okay, is this making sense? Type value. If you're getting value on this, yes. Carol asked, spending on books, is it also animations? Okay, you asked, I'm not sure what you mean by animations, but I think you mean ammunitions. Yes, books are ammunitions. You can see them behind me. These are ammunitions. And I have some, here, like the one I was looking at today by Ted Nicholas. My goodness. It's lots of things hidden in books. But you've got to take them, open them, and read them to be able to weaponize that. Okay? So this rule forces you to spend like an investor, not a consumer. All right? So there are two types of spenders. There is the consumer, which if you ask me the percentage, I would say is like 98% of the people. Consumers. Just enter a typical supermarket and watch what people buy. Oh, just enter there and watch what people buy. So I go to a particular supermarket in Lekki. I don't want to mention the name, but actually it's the Palms. The Palms is not a secret place. And then I'm in the car park, and I see what people are bringing out from that place. My goodness gracious me, the quantity of alcohols I see in the carts, they're pushing out into the. I sat there one day and I was shocked. You have bottles of beer. People will buy bottles of beer. They will buy bottles of red wine, martini, all kinds of things. I looked, young guys. Then you have can malt or something. If you sit by there, and if you go to those supermarkets, just stand by and watch what people buy. That was why one certain year, I don't have the figure, and I'm not able to search it now, but you can actually see it. The Nigerians spent, actually, let's do a very quick one. How much Nigerians spent on beer, just beer alone, according to how much did Nigerians spend on beer in 2024? Okay, so what I'm seeing here, my goodness, I mean, you can do that. Nigerians spent an estimated $5.7 billion or 9.7 trillion naira on beer. This figure represents a significant portion of the total alcohol expenditure in Nigeria, not including spirits or wine. Not including spirits or wine. Poor people. Poor people. In fact, this evening, as I was coming back, strolling down from the local market here, you see people with chairs arranged and they are drinking. They are sitting around benches and tables drinking beer. One guy would drink up to 7 bottles of beer tonight. I don't know how much a bottle of beer costs now in Nigeria, but I believe it must be in the 800s or something. And so can you imagine someone drinking 5 bottles of beer with his friends? That's already getting to 4,000 naira, 5,000 naira. Can you imagine if he put that 4,000 naira into GT Bank stocks, or maybe even downloads Bamboo and puts it into Tesla or Apple or Amazon? Can you imagine what that thing will return in another couple of years? But he's drunk it in beer and it's gone down before in another couple of hours, it will all go down the drain as urine. So you see why people remain poor. It's not because they don't make money. These people make money. These laborers, these artisans, they make so much money. A plumber comes to work in my house, and by the time he's done, he's billing me 60K. He's billing me 70K. A plumber, electrician comes to work, the same thing. They make a lot of money every day, and they're actually in high demand. To service your AC or work on your fridge, before you can get the support, the HVAC people, very, very high demand, making a lot of money. But at the end of it, they are the ones who complain the most. Why? Because they are consumers. They spend like consumers. They do not spend like investor. Okay. Step number 3, automate your financial army. Automate your financial army. Okay, we're talking about weaponizing your spending. So we are using a lot of military metaphors here. So money sleeping in your account is potential energy. Deployed money becomes kinetic wealth. So type in the comment section, potential energy versus kinetic wealth. Type it in the comment section, everyone. Potential energy versus kinetic wealth. Okay, so you need to put your wealth in motion. Type it. Let's move on. I need to see engagement. Okay, potential energy versus kinetic wealth. So let me ask you, which one would you rather have? Potential energy, that's money sitting in your account, or would you rather have kinetic wealth? Tell me, give me your choice. Steering Forward says, if a Cameroonian goes to Nigeria, you people will be amazed. A bottle of beer costs about 2,400 naira in Cameroon, about 1,500 sefa. One Cameroonian can spend 20% of his salary on beer alone. Yes, I hear that Cameroon is particularly bad. I hear that. Yeah, a Cameroonian has told me that in her part of Cameroon, I forget where that part is, that by 9 a.m., people are already drunk. People drink, you know. And then alcoholism is a very huge problem, especially, you know, financially speaking. Okay. All right. Potential energy versus kinetic wealth. So tell me, which one do you want? Okay. Abraham Enoi says kinetic wealth. Good. Yeah. Shegun says kinetic wealth. Stella says potential energy versus kinetic wealth. Okay. So money that is sleeping in your account is potential energy. You don't need potential energy. That's just what it is, potential energy. What you need is kinetic wealth. And how do you get kinetic wealth? By deploying the money. Okay? So money in an account that is giving you 0.01% savings account is a sleeping soldier. So you need to deploy it. Soldiers are not meant to be sleeping. All right? So you can put it into high yield cash accounts or money market funds. So like equity funds that can actually return better than keeping your money in savings account. Or you can also invest in bonds, okay, like the Nigerian federal government bonds typically yield 17%, 18%, and they pay you 4 times in the year. So that's even a better place to deploy your potential energy and turn it into kinetic energy. So the bonds are great. You're guaranteed, you're paying, and then at the end of the tenure, you still get back your capital. So if you put in 1 million in a bond, they will pay you 170,000 in interest, and they will split it and pay you every 3 months. That's a wonderful way, you know, to deploy your soldier. You can also do ETFs. They are not my things. That's the second thing you can do. So micro investing. So you buy ETFs, you know, exchange traded funds. There are so many of them, S&P 500. Then there are so many index funds that you can put that money into. They are not my thing. I buy directly. I invest directly in the stocks. But they are really very good for someone starting out and then learning how to deploy their money. And then the third thing you can do, you can deploy your sleeping money, is what I call skill arbitrage. Skill arbitrage. So you can pay for subscriptions like Canva, like ChatGPT, $20 a month. You can pay for things like that to earn more. You can use ChatGPT. Maybe if you are actually interested, and you can indicate so in the comment section, we can talk about using ChatGPT to make money. Okay? And then you can freelance with the Canva, with a paid subscription. You can freelance and make money out of it. So that is skills arbitrage. Okay? So now, what are you going to do with all this? What's the call to action? So this is what I want you to do as we round off, because these sessions, I always aim to make it as practical as possible so that you walk out of this place with strategies you can implement, not just coming here to talk theory. So that's why I give you personal examples and I go the length to give you illustrations, to use metaphors so that you can remember them, and not just remember them, so that you can do them. Because, ladies and gentlemen, it is possible. It is possible, no matter where you are born, to be wealthy, to have enough, to be financially independent, so that you don't depend on uncles, brothers, the government, and things. Anywhere in the world you live, following these principles I've been sharing with you. Okay? And if you haven't subscribed to my channel and you're listening to this, please take a moment and subscribe, and put and then tap on the notification bell, so that anytime I'm holding these coaching sessions, you will be able to do that. And then if you haven't already done that, please hit the love button, hit the like button, right now. I think it's very good. It helps the channel to be discovered. And then those people who need this information can also get to know about it. So what are you going to do as a result of what you have learned tonight? Okay? This week, I want you to attack one landmine expense and convert it to ammunition. So it's like, what is it? There's a landmine expenses that I can convert to ammunition. All right? So again, savings make you comfortable. Weaponized spending makes you dangerous to poverty, dangerous to mediocrity, dangerous to every financial limit you've ever accepted. Do you know how it feels that, you just get a call from, family member, from your child, from your wife, oh, sweetheart, something just happened and all that, and then we need, I need $300, and then without thinking, you have the $300 somewhere to solve that immediate problem. Do you know how much freedom? Do you know how that freedom sounds? Do you know what the freedom represents, that when it is time for your children to go back to school, to pay school fees, do you know what it means that you can sleep? That in fact, as your children are coming back from first semester, you've already paid for the second semester without struggle. Do you know what that kind of freedom is? That's what happens when you practice weaponized spending. And that's why the final thing I want you to sleep with is that savings make you comfortable. Weaponized spending makes you dangerous to poverty, makes you dangerous to mediocrity, makes you dangerous to all the financial embarrassment and financial limits that you have ever accepted. So savings rate is not wealth. Weaponized spending is freedom. So that's the last thing I want you to type in the comment section. Weaponized spending is freedom. Everyone type that. Weaponized spending is freedom. Weaponized spending is freedom. Okay. And to join my monthly mentorship group, we are currently enrolling. It's called the Financial Fitness Challenge. Because I discovered that many of us, we've grown up with a lot of financial negative beliefs, psychological barriers that hold us back. A lot of us also have grown used to bad financial habits and wrong financial concepts that hold us back. That is why my mentorship is structured in the form of a challenge, to challenge all those beliefs, all those things sabotaging you, and then lead you gradually to the path of financial freedom. So to enroll, please send a message. Don't call the number. Send a message to this WhatsApp number. I'm going to call it out. plus 234 8088 000 plus 234 8088 000111. Send a message to that WhatsApp number and just say, send me enrollment details. And then you will get the details. And I would be looking forward to seeing you in the mentorship group so that we can get to know ourselves much better. And so I can help you much better. I hope you have enjoyed this session. So whatever happens, keep showing up, because you never know what's waiting for you just by the corner. And I will see you at exactly same time tomorrow. And before I end it, I want to take a moment to read your comments before I end it. Okay, and then I got some questions here. So what I can do is also look at some of these questions and then address them in subsequent sessions. And you're welcome. Yeah, and thank you so much for the wisdom you've been sharing in the comment section. Okay, Adeola says, this has been so informative. You are welcome. And then someone says, how can someone without money or source of income start this financial freedom journey? Fantastic question. All right, we will treat that. Okay, and then you can also look at the previous videos, because there are some of the videos we have done to address that. Okay, so subscribe to the channel and then go to the playlist, and then there are videos that directly address this that question that you have asked right now. And Ferdinand is asking, please, can someone pay for the mentorship in part? Send this to the WhatsApp message, to the WhatsApp number, and then we can take it from there. All right, so this is where we're going to draw the curtain today. I'm going to see you at exactly same time tomorrow. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so that once I come live, you will see it. All right, God bless you.